Hello everyone. Firstly, I'd like to apologize for a little delay in the video, in this week's video. Usually I post by the weekend, Saturdays, but this week it got a little delayed. We are slowly coming towards the end of the Montessori series, Montessori Parenting series. So if you want any specific topic, please let us know right now, because in the next month, after 3 to 4 weeks, we will be ending the series and starting something new. This is our 5th episode, and today we are talking about a topic that should be helpful for you, considering that younger children, especially preschoolers, will have to wait at least a month or two at least to start school again. We can't wait to have them back, but of course we have to keep the safety and security precautions in place due to the pandemic, so they take care of them at home. This topic, before I go into this, let me tell you about the importance of the age group. That development of the child happens between 0 years to 6 years, birth to 6. I will not detail about it, but if I tell you that maximum development of the brain happens during birth to 6, I would not be lying. And providing a conducive environment where you observe the child, you work with the child, and don't work for the child, like in place of the child, but rather let the child, encourage the child, give him the right environment, him or her the right environment to work in. Be it you're in a Montessori school or a regular preschool, it is very important. We have to completely understand how the child is and where is he or she coming from before we develop a plan for him or her. So I have my trusted notebook ready with me with my points, and let's go ahead. We are talking today about what are the basic things that you need to keep in mind when you are working with the child at home, especially considering you have to prepare a Montessori space or Montessori inspired space for your child at home. I'm not talking more so from a setup perspective. I am talking more from a how to present activities and how to work with the child from a cycle of activities, from a cycle of work perspective. One thing you have to understand is less is more. When you give a lot of things to the child, they don't appreciate it, they don't respect the material available, and that's one thing in a Montessori environment we encourage that highly. If you see, besides the practical life material, every other area of the environment, there is just one set, because we expect the child to develop that patience, have that patience, wait for the material and respect the fact that someone else is using the material. So a lot of things at access of the child can be damaging for his or her wholesome development. Before I move ahead, let me also tell you, if any specific point you want more details, please let me know. I'll try to guide you. Another thing that I have talked about in the previous video, I'm just reiterating, is that the material that you use for the child is not plastic, or it's not toy, or it's not a replica. It has to be the real material. Obviously, it has to be based on the child's size, and the size of the material and the handling of the material need to be based on what the child is capable of doing. But please don't give them any toys as material in a Montessori inspired home setup if you really want them to work with it, right? When you present something, for instance, when you present spooning, which is a very basic Montessori practical life activity. Before that, the child needs to know how to take a tray and carry the tray to a particular space, how to roll and roll mat first, how to roll and roll a mat or have a space. Where is my space in my house? How to take a tray from the cabinet and go set the tray, how to pick up a spoon, how to move the spoon from one spot to another. All these things need to be presented to the child. So it's a very step-by-step approach. When you just see it, you might just say, I can also do this at home, but it's not like that. There is a lot of small nuances that go into that. There is an aspect called control of error, which we highlight, which the child understands in each activity. There is a control of error from which the child understands that, okay, fine, he or she needs to focus on this area as well, so that activity is completed nicely. For instance, in spooning, we might ask them, am I throwing the grains or pulses, or am I spilling all my grains, or am I touching them with my finger? These all points need to be highlighted for them to understand that, okay, fine, this is something I am not expected to do. That's why play area and work area need to be defined. I'm not saying create separate rooms, but at least a little space, separate space is ideal. Every activity, especially if you go in a Montessori classroom, every area, though it's one environment, every area is kept separately demarcated. So there's practical life, there's sensorial, there's language, culture, and math. Besides that, it's very important for us to understand that there's a progression which happens where the material is also kept accordingly, right? So for instance, if we say pouring of from one container to the other, first we might show pouring grains, one glass to the other glass. Then we might show pouring water, one glass to the other glass, or liquid, one glass to the other glass. Then pouring from one container to 3 smaller containers to a particular level. All these things become more difficult and more advanced as the child becomes experienced and as the child grows. It's also very important for us to understand that all these materials are kept as the progression happens. If you have the entire setup at home, I'm saying. At home, I believe you have limited materials or limited activities for the child at a time. And there also, it's very important to maintain a particular order, right? Everything needs to go, there is a place for everything, and everything needs to be in its place till the time the child has taken it. And once the space, for instance, the tray where we keep the spooning tray is empty, that means that another child has taken it. The space where we keep colored cylinder, there's no box of colored cylinder, there's only the cover kept at the base, that means another child is using it, right? So this gives them an indication and prepares them, okay, fine, I need to wait for another activity for the activity I want, or I can choose another activity, right? Storage is again very accessible to the child. You should not, even if you want them to call you every time they need something, you should not encourage that, because one thing we encourage in a Montessori setup is independence, right? As I mentioned, areas are defined, especially in Montessori. So at home also, if you have the availability, at least define work and play areas separately. Safety is very important. So I would not show sewing to a child who I think can harm himself or herself with a needle. Or I'll not show polishing brass to some child who has a habit of taking everything in his mouth. That's basic common sense. So material also has to be decided basis what the child can use on based on his or her ability and his or her age. Also activities, how to present, when to present. We have parameters for each and every activity in Montessori. How beautifully Dr. Montessori has done that. Each and every activity comes with a set of parameters that we need the child to fulfill before we present that, right? Safety is important, as I said, and control of error is also important. To understand how progression happens, what activities to give, when to give, everything, you need to undertake a Montessori course, which will take a few months. A good Montessori course at least will take 9 to 10 months of your time at least. And till then, schools will be open, hopefully. So yes, so till the time, if your child is in a good Montessori environment, I'm hoping that you are guided every step of the way. Just keep following that and stay safe, stay healthy, keep rethinking life and keep rethinking parenting. And do follow us on Parenting 2.0 with Falak. We are having a workshop, a 4 days workshop from the 22nd, a 3-day workshop on the 22nd, 23rd and 24th of December. The workshop cost on regular days, pre-pandemic, was around 2,999, but we have slashed it down to 499. So take advantage. Apply for the workshop or register for the workshop. It's a purely online workshop we'll conduct on Zoom. I am looking forward to hearing from you. Bye bye. Take care.